Yeah. And we ain't talking about your ordinary girl, man. It's something special about this one, you know what I mean? I mean, she fly on the outside, but it's what's on the inside that counts, right? Let's get it. That girl don't walk like the rest of them. She don't step out of line cause she reppin' him. Hair and the nails done right, but she a better look when you look at her life. She's unimpressed by things, not desperate for a man cause she bows to a king.
Hi, welcome to Jesus Girls Rock Show. I'm your host, Akia Davis. Today we have an awesome show for you. One of the things that we like to do on Jesus Girls Rock is to highlight women who's in the Charlotte community who are business women, entrepreneurs, or just out there living out their dream, but also being led by God. And today on the show we have Jacinda from WCCB Charlotte. Thank you so much, Jacinda, for being on the show.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited. Thank you.
Absolutely. Well, one of the things that inspired me about you was your blog. I was on there reading some of your blogs, and they were so awesome. It was so heartfelt when I was reading it, and I can really see that you have an awesome heart for God and for His people. Can you share with the audience a little bit about your relationship with God, or how you came to have a relationship with Him?
Well, I think as most of us, God kind of really comes into our lives when we hit that low place. And actually the blog derived from, I was let go from the radio station. So I had been now in radio for years, and I was like, what am I gonna do next?
Wow.
And I sat in this woman's office who I absolutely love, Susan Stubnick. She's she works for McLeod, which is a substance abuse center for our youth. And she was like, you should start writing. You write very well, and it's just Jacinda now. You're not part of the show with this team anymore. Maybe you should start something. And so I remember sitting there and being like, a blog. At that time, I didn't really know what a blog was. It was just getting started, and so I went on and started writing. And so I told myself that I would only write what God places on my heart to say. So out of nowhere, I'm in this low place in my life. I'm praying more than ever. I'm seeking his guidance and his direction, and he starts laying all this stuff on my heart. And literally it's to the point that from that time in my life, I keep pen and paper in my purse, because I never know when he's going to speak to me or when he's going to say something. But the second he does it, I'm just writing so fast, and it comes out so perfect too. And so I immediately posted, and it's amazing how many people have read it. Because this one time I was standing in a line at a grocery store or something. This woman was like, you haven't written in about 6 months now.
Oh my goodness.
I had no idea who she was. And so I realized that when I'm doing this, I'm taking something from it, I'm learning something, and it's bettering my life and what he's placing in my heart. But also for people who I don't even know and may never even meet in my life, that may stumble upon, across this blog, that may actually be touched by something.
Right.
So, the relationship with God is ever changing, and it's growing more and more every day. But I do have those bumps, and I think you may be able to relate to it, where God's telling you to do something, you don't necessarily do it when you're supposed to do it. You're not necessarily being obedient, so then you pull away from God, and then you start questioning God, and then you start doubting God. And so I have those, stumbling blocks, in my road with him. But for the most part, it is ever changing, and I love it. I love just knowing that I'm on this spiritual journey and he has my back.
Right, absolutely. Now, did you grow up in a Christian household?
No, my father still reminds me to this day that he's like, you're Catholic, by the way. And I'm like, okay, Dad.
Okay.
My father was Catholic. He had a lot of brothers and sisters. They were raised in the Dominican Republic, and when they came to the States, they couldn't speak any English.
Wow.
All they had were like little t-shirts and tank tops and shorts, and they moved to New York, and it was snowing. And so there was a church that took them in and gave them clothes, and Mama, which is my grandmother, she always had them in church. And so I think when my dad moved out of the house, he kind of pulled away from the church a little bit. So we were that family that only went for holidays.
Okay.
And I did First Holy Communion. I went to Bible study, Sunday school Bible study. And, it was a little bit here and there. And I remember my father telling me about Jesus and opening the Bible and teaching me. But that's really all I remember. There was something in my heart when I first got a car. When I bought my first car, I started going to church. And I don't know why. I just was like, I would get up on Sunday mornings. My mom would still be asleep, family still asleep, and I would get up and go by myself.
Wow.
And I think
And how old were you then?
I was in the 9th grade.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So, and I was kind of led to do that because my previous boyfriend, I used to go with my boyfriend and his dad, and they were Catholic as well. So when I started going to church, I just started going to the same church that I was going to with them. But then I started going to non-denominational churches. And I started trying different things by myself. I called it church shopping.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
Just trying different places and just seeing what happens. And then everything changed for me when I moved to Charlotte. When I got offered a radio job in Charlotte, didn't know where Charlotte was, picked up and moved here 4 days later by myself, didn't know one person here.
And how old were you when you moved to Charlotte?
I moved to Charlotte probably 22 or so. 22, I'm thinking.
Okay.
And I moved here and I did my church shopping here, tried different places, and then someone told me about Nations for Community Church.
Okay.
And I went there one time and fell in love with the congregation, fell in love with the people. Bishop, the pastor, they're almost like my parents. They kind of, I feel like they, watch out for me, and they've all watched me grow up since then, the past 6 years. And it has changed my life. It has taught me about reading the Bible and wanting to do the right things and listening to God and, having strong faith, outrageous faith, and the power of prayer.
Yes.
My life completely changed. I got baptized again and just rededicated my life.
Right. And when you rededicated your life and God began to lead you, was it hard for you to follow, or was you scared? Because, a lot of people, they want to change, or they want to get to know God, but they're like, what am I going to lose out on? What things am I going to have to stop doing?
Good question. Yeah, I was very scared. I think God took me out of the foundation that I was used to. If I would have still been in Virginia Beach, in Hampton, Virginia, and he would have been trying to do this, it would have been hard because all I know is the life I was living, which really wasn't good for anything.
Okay.
He took me out of that, brought me to Charlotte, so it was a new beginning. So there was a want in me to want to do something different, brand new, want to meet different people, want to date different types of men. Like everything about me was like, we're not going to continue down this path we were on. So then that in conjunction with, learning more about God is also what said you can do this. But there was that scare that was like, what happens when I don't have any friends anymore?
Right.
Because I like going to the club. I like drinking. I like, I like being drunk.
Right.
I like doing all these things. I like cursing. There are a lot of things that I was doing, and I was like, who am I after all these things?
Exactly.
But what I realized is that there's an even bigger world out there that was waiting for me, with just beautiful women that don't have to curse, that can still get their point across with emotion and, articulation. And, there are amazing men out there that want to treat a woman right in the way she should be treated. There are great friends and great role models. I just realized there was this whole world out there, and I would not be alone. I was actually diving into a bigger pool, a stronger pool of people. So second I started making that walk, doors started opening.
Amazing. And that's how God works. And I think a lot of people go through that, and they have those fears of, am I going to be by myself? Am I going to have friends? Do I have to stop doing this? How am I going to stop doing this? Because I've been doing it for so long. My family does it. It becomes like an environment, and it becomes natural almost. So for me, it was just so eye-opening. I always say it was like I was blind, and God just opened my eyes, and I could just see things from a whole new perspective. And you talk a little bit about even the men that you dated. How did that really affect you? Because I know for women, that's one of the things that hinder us from moving forward. Like, God, am I really going to have to be celibate? Like, how is this going to work out,
Good question. I think all the men, I had to look at myself in the mirror and say, I'm doing this to myself. I'm ending up in the same situations. I'm ending up crying the same thing, just different man, man to man. And so I said, all right, since it's me that's doing this, I have to start trying to date different types of men. Right. Because the men over here that I'm dating, I'm just getting the same outcome, and I end up crying and alone and hurt and distraught and all this type of stuff. So when I moved to Charlotte, that's that big turning point in my life, is moving here and being by myself and having to just rebuild and rediscover who I am and who I want to be ultimately. Right. And so I just started started dating different men that maybe from the very start I would have never given them a time of day, would have never, I mean, honestly, I never would have looked, but I said, you know what, I want to be treated right, and I need to give the good men a try. They always say the good men finish last and all that stuff. Well, no, not exactly. And I met some fabulous men, some great men that just taught me so much and opened my eyes up to a whole world of things to do, you know, of having fun, of saying, we're going to pack our bags and get out of town. We're going to do this, or let's try that, things I've never tried before, things I've never done before. And I remember I did the thing I think a lot of us women have where we write down everything.
The list.
The list. The list. I did that. And my list went on pages and pages and pages. I didn't want to leave anything out.
Right.
And I remember on the radio show, the guys laughing at me and saying, you will never find this man. They stuffed it down my throat saying, you will never find this man doesn't exist. Stop thinking you're going to find this Prince Charming. Stop. And I was like, I will find him. He is out there for me, and he's thinking about me right now, and God has someone big for me. I mean, I wouldn't, and I always had this big fight about never settling, never settling. A year later, I met the man of my dreams, and let me tell you, he has everything on that list and more. Things I've never even thought of, because I thought, writing poetry and things like that is kind of weak. I love everything that man has ever written me. It makes me cry just to hear him and be able to see such a manly man put his emotions on paper and be able to communicate to his woman how he feels about her and what she means in his world. And so I found everything on that list and more.
And that's how God works. He will give us what we desire and more abundantly. And so that's so encouraging for other women who are still waiting. Like myself, I'm still waiting, and I refuse to settle.
Refuse. So many people will tell you, stop it. You need to lower it. And it used to mess me up and say, why do I have to lower my standards? Why aren't there men out there trying to up theirs?
Exactly.
And the truth is there are. We just need to stop looking where we've been looking and switch it up, know, and also truly, your man will find you. So stop looking anyways.
Exactly.
Try, if anything, if I can put any 2 cents out there, just try and have fun. Try and, try and walk your faith walk. Stay true to who you are, believe in what you're doing, and just have fun, and with friends and things like that, he'll find you.
Yeah, and just work on yourself, I would say. Take that time to connect with God and really see what he has for you, because we all put here for a purpose. We all have a mission on the inside of us, and that's what I do. I take time. I'm like, God, okay, what do you want me to do for me? Help me to be a better woman, so when that time comes, then I'll be ready.
Yeah, I think too, a lot of us women, we start jumping man to man to man. We feel like we have to have a man, and I think, and like you said, spend time getting to know who you are. Sometimes we're so broken. If we don't love ourselves, how can another man really love us? And sometimes we doom our relationships to begin with by coming in with all this baggage and comparing him to the last one and having so many insecurities within ourselves. We have to be whole. We have to be complete. We have to be walking this faith walk and realizing that I love who I am. I love my God. God is first. You don't come in.
No
you don't
compromising
have.
that.
There's no compromising with that. But you come in, and a real man will respect everything that you've done. He will wait for you. Things that you never thought would happen with a man will happen. But you really have to. It starts from within.
Absolutely, and that's awesome. And another thing, you said you're passionate about helping younger generation. Can you tell me a little bit about that and some of the things that you're involved in?
It was funny, you mentioned it about, the teenage age. A lot of parents mention that. I had a good friend of mine, David L. He's always used to be like, I hate teenagers. I hate them.
And
I don't know what. And I mean, I was that teenager.
Okay.
I did it to my mom. I did. I love you, Mom. She was just always, I called it, she was always there to pick me up, because I always fell. My mom was just always there to help me get back up. And so there's a calling on my spirit to work with our troubled youth. A youth that got it going on, we could put that little push on and help them even further. But I really like the teens that just feel kind of hopeless. They've messed up so much. They've pretty much doomed their future. That's what they think anyways at that time.
And people give up on them.
And people give up on them. You're expelled, you're suspended, you've lost everything, you're on these drugs, you're out here, you got these, STDs, you got this and that. I mean, just everything at this point has just, it's a wrap for you.
Yeah.
That's what a lot of these kids feel. And so I don't know what it is, but I just love going in and talking with them and love going in and trying to especially as someone who's walked that walk already, to be like, you can change it. You have the power to change it. You know, you have that control right here and right now, because I've bumped my head so many times that I thought it was over.
Right.
You know, I've been expelled from high school before, kicked out of the school system, to where I'm going to school with going to work with adults during the day and trying to go take classes at night.
Wow.
And all my friends were in school. All my friends were doing, you know, things that you do in high school, and I'm over here working like an adult in high school. And I mean, I thought it was a wrap for me. I thought I wasn't going to be able to graduate or anything, and you know, God had a different plan for me. I still graduated, still ended up going to college, then got kicked out in college.
Wow.
Still thought it was a wrap for me. Well, now I'm sitting here with a master's, you know, a 3.94 GPA from my master's degree. So there's nothing you can't do, and these bumps really just make you strong, and I feel like I went through all that so I can go back
someone else,
and help them. So that's really my calling. I love the kids that just think they know everything. They feel like they're untouchable. Nothing's going to, you know, mess them up. And it will. It will catch up to you. It will mess you up.
Right.
And that's where I like to come in. And I feel like God's going to lead me and show me exactly where he wants to place me in that.
Well, if it was something that you could say to those young people who are looking right now, can you lead them with some final words?
Well, really just everything comes down to your choices. Choices to me is the biggest thing. And, you know, there are some choices that you make where you go left. There are some choices you make and you go right, you know. Ultimately, you could pave the way for yourself to where it can be easy. You know, you can graduate with highest honors and walk into any college that you want and graduate with flying honors and all this jazz. And that's because you chose the harder route. It looked harder up front, where it's like, I have to do all this homework, all these projects, I have to try and strive to get A's, I have to join these extracurricular activities, I have to do these things. It looks harder up front, but ultimately it helps you just fly through so easily. Or you can choose to party with your friends, choose to make these type of choices, sleep around. You never know what choice, you know, what circumstances come with that at a young age. You know, maybe cheating, maybe not doing your homework, maybe not doing that. Standardized testing gets harder. I mean, you can make those types of choices. Either way, you know, our choices are what depict our future and where you end up. So it's just something that we need to think about at that age, because I think we don't think about the future then. We think about the now and what's fun and what everyone else is doing. But these choices really, you know, it is your future. And it's where you'll end up in 5 years, it's where you'll end up in 10 years. Now, you can overcome them, and that's where I come in and telling you my testimony and telling you my story. I have overcome them, but I had to work 3 times as hard as the next person to get here, you know? So when people talk about college and sorority and this and that, I was working 3 jobs, and I was going to school 45 minutes away from my house, and I was guardian of my brothers, and I was doing all these things because of all the bad choices I made.
Right.
You know, and I wasn't able to enjoy that college life like everyone else.
Right. But now you're such a better person for it.
And I wouldn't have changed one thing about it, because it really made me who I am today.
Right, and I can't wait to see what God does with your life. It's going to be so awesome.
Thank you.
So keep your faith and step out when he says step out. It's going to be awesome.
That's the biggest thing right there.
Yeah.
Do what he tells you to do.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for being on the show today. I so enjoyed you, and I can't wait to have you back on when you're really out there doing what God called you to do.
Thank you for allowing me to speak. Thank you so much for this.
Absolutely. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed the show, and I hope what you got from this show is no matter what you're doing right now or what you've done in the past, it's never too late to turn around. God has an awesome plan for your life. You just have to connect with him, let go of whatever holding you back, whatever you've done, whatever mistakes, whatever been done to you, and just move forward into the powerful, awesome life God has for you. And we'll be right back after this short break. One of the things that we focus on here at Jesus Girls Rock is purpose. The Jesus Girls is based off of the Proverbs 31 woman, which Proverbs 31:18 says she works diligently throughout the night and makes sure that her dealings are profitable. So that shows that she is purpose driven and she's diligent at the things that she do. So what we want to do at Jesus Girls Rock is equip you and disciple you to be able to operate in your purpose, because we are all a part of God's great plan on this earth. But when we operate outside of our purpose, then we're operating outside of God's will for our life. So connecting with your purpose is so important. I know for me, when I connected with my purpose, everything seemed to make sense. Everything about me seemed to make sense because I now know why I was put on this earth and what reason and what my motivation is on this earth. So that's why it's so important to me. And I believe one of my assignments here on this earth is to help other women to be empowered to walk in their purpose as well. We created a program that's called Full Circle, Defining Your Destiny. And what we want you to do is go online and register for the program. That way we can help you to connect with your purpose here on this earth and move forward and do what God has called you to do. You know, so many people nowadays in the church, we're not being taught the gospel. And unfortunately, it's creating a in-reach mindset when God created us to be outreach individuals. We were created to help other people, and purpose always has something to do with helping someone else. But instead of teaching that in the church, we're taught that it's all about us and how God is going to bless us. God's going to do it for us. Our breakthrough is on its way. And I know that we need encouragement, and that's all good and well. But sometimes the best encouragement and to get your mind off of your problems is to help someone else and put your mind on their problem. Because if we focus on ourselves and what God is going to do for us all the time, it creates a mindset that is all about me, 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 and we forget who's serving who. God is not serving us, we're serving Him. He blessed us and He loved us, but His scripture says that we seek first His kingdom and His righteousness, and all those other things shall be provided for us as well. But let's not get it twisted or get it backwards. We have to seek Him and do what we were put on this earth to do. We have to love Him first and then love others. Those are the two commandments that Jesus Christ left with us. But we don't do that because we're not being taught, and we're sitting there in the church and we're just getting these feel-good messages. And I know that it ultimately comes from the pastor himself having an in-reach mindset, because he wants to preach this good message so people can run around the church and get excited and fill the seats and get his tithing and offering. But you know what? It's not helping us as a people. It's not helping us as a church, because we're not on our assignment. And so we're out of line with God's will for our life. And so what I want to do is to help women to get connected with their purpose so that we can be kingdom builders, because it does no good if we're all broke and we can't help one another. But if we're kingdom builders and we're on our assignment and we're successful at it, we can go out there and feed the homeless. We can go out there and help people, help our family and our friends who are in need. But if we're all just focused on ourselves and not operating in our purpose, then we're not helping ourselves and we're not helping them. And I know for a lot of women that we're not operating in our calling and in our purpose because of certain situations like being a single mother and things like that. We get in this mode, this survival mode, that I have to do what I got to do what I got to do. And whatever that is, I'll do it. But that's not the mindset. God don't want us to be desperate individuals. He wants us to trust Him and have faith in Him that He's going to provide for us, and that everything that we do is going to work out in our favor when we're in line with His will for our lives. So what I want women to know is that we're greater than just being women or being someone on the side of a man, but we have a purpose and a destiny. Even if it's just being in your household, being a great mom and a great wife and a great housekeeper. But you know, we can still do that and be successful and raise our kids up to be kingdom builders. So connect with us online at JesusGirlsRock.com, and also register for the program. It's an in-person coaching session with me, because like I said, it's very near and dear to my heart, because I know how I was before coming to Christ and before connecting with my purpose. I tried all kinds of things that didn't help no one but myself, but it failed because it wasn't in the will of God for my life. But when I connected with my purpose and God showed me who I was, like I said, everything made sense. Even the way that I look, even the way that I talk, it all made sense because God called me to certain people who get who I am and who will listen and receive the word that comes through me. But if we're trying to be copycats of other people, or we're just worrying about ourselves, we're operating out of the will of God for our life. We have to be authentically who God created us to be and do whatever it is that God created us to do. And on this show, we have a lot of women who's business owners, who's speakers, authors, ministers, evangelists. They're all kind of business women and ministry leaders, because we want to show you that
we were created for purpose. It's all about God and serving others. So I just hope you guys really receive this message and really excited about walking in your purpose. And if you don't know what your purpose is at this point, it's okay. God give us grace every day to get up and start another journey with him. But don't go another day without knowing what you were created to do here on this earth, because it will benefit you, it will benefit your family, your children, and all those around you. And if you're not operating in your purpose, those people who are called to you, they're not receiving what they need because you're not giving it to them. So again, connect with your purpose, connect with God on a deep relationship level and not a religious level. We love you here at Jesus Girls Rock, and we hope you continue to check back on the website and on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. We're on all social media, and we always respond back and forth. If you have any questions for me or the girls at Jesus Girls Rock, don't hesitate to go to the website, send us an email or a message through the contact page. We will respond to you as quickly as we can, and I will help you as much as I can, because like I said, that is part of my assignment, and I'll do anything to fulfill that assignment, because at the end of the day, I want God to say, job well done, you faithful servant. So you have a blessed day, and we will see you next time on Jesus Girl Rock Show.
Steps make it obvious she's not of this world. She don't chase temporary pleasure. The moment looks good, but eternity is better. She has no problem being anonymous, knowing that God is glorified through her accomplishments. She stays shining, not hiding it, non-stop, cause she know who she riding with. Shorty from the block, but sophisticated. She's still on the block, but she liberated. Ex-diva, now she's on that brand new life. So it's the plow that she puts her hands to.
To her, talk to her heart, so cool. Everything about her so fly. Yes, you. The sister holds it down. In and out of town. Something about that girl, you girl. I see your work, your words. The sister holds it down. Something about
they say I walk a little different, my shine a little brighter. The way my smile glistens mean I made it through the fire. And I appreciate all the dudes that paved the way, cause iron sharpens iron, now I'm sharper on my game. They say behind a good man stands a great woman, but I wouldn't be great if my man was a human. It taught me how to pray, be a pillar in my home. Now my baby girl is coming, so I gotta